him, and then I'm going to put into perspective what are being willing to do a corrupt bargain. And I say it's a corrupt bargain that we struck in the early 70s, that petrodollar bargain. I say it's corrupt because it allowed us to go on a spending spree and not be responsible for our spending. What would that be? What would happen in your own personal life if you were able to do that and just made your grandchildren pay for everything that you put on the cart? That petro bargain agreement is actually doing that. Well, simply what it was is Henry Kissinger goes over to Saudi Arabia in the early 70s, right after Israel's Six-Day War, where Israel was making everybody believe that they were going to just, they were conquering everything they took. It was, if you remember, Israel was, everybody believed that God was ordering Israel's steps, and they were going to fall. Well, Saudi Arabia believed it, the OPEC nations, Iran, well, Iran is an OPEC, I don't think, but all those 10 OPEC nations, they believed it too, and they were very worried. So Nixon and Kissinger got together, came up with an idea, went over there and said, listen, if you will only sell your oil in US dollars, we will give you protection for your oil fields. And they believed that that was a pretty good deal because they thought for sure that they were going to lose their country to Israel. And it became solidified even with Saddam Hussein. When Saddam Hussein started pointing, and this was later, Saddam Hussein started pointing his tanks at Saudi Arabia. We agreed to protect Saudi Arabian oil fields. But the reason that I need to make this clear, folks, and I think it's the only thing that you are going to hear from me, apart from maybe a commentary on the elections every now and then. The reason it's so important is when you see the videos that we're going to show about Christians in Syria and what they are going through, I say it's very possible we could be going through that here in the future. It's due to this petro bargain agreement, because we are sacrificing good common sense in policy with these Islamic nations in order to keep this bargain afloat, in order to keep them selling oil in US dollars. Because along in that agreement, they were required in the agreement to the profits that they made by selling their oil in US dollars, that they would buy our debt treasuries. See, when we print money we don't have, like in your own family, if you were using your credit card to buy stuff that you don't have money for, somebody had to guarantee it. So you'd have a backer, somebody would be a co-signer. And they would have to be, well, your grandchildren are the ones in this petrodollar bargain, but those countries over there had to purchase U.S. Treasury bills because that's the outcome of the printing press when we don't have the money. When we spend money on everything that we spend money on, Democrats want to spend it on social programs, Republicans want to spend just about as much on whatever, sometimes it's social programs that I thought when George W. was going to be, the 8 years that we gave him, I thought that was going to cut spending a little bit, but it didn't. We had to, see, the thing I've learned is that it doesn't matter if it's a Republican or Democrat, we're still going to spend more money than we have. And we're still going to go with our military in places to protect that petrodollar bargain. We're going to make countries, if they feel like Iraq did, and dump the currency, U.S. currency for the sale of oil. That's the reason we went in there. We brought soldiers here on several occasions that were negatively affected by those weapons of mass destruction that Saddam Hussein never had, but he did have them. But we don't want to admit that he had them. The reason we went into Iraq was not that he had weapons of mass destruction. It was that he dumped the U.S. dollar for his reserve currency. He was no longer selling oil under the petrodollar bargain. Folks, this is very, very important. Because when it comes to the place that you as a Christian are going to have to find sanctuary in a place or have to defend your sanctuary, you should understand that it is because that Christians in this country have been cowed in comfort in their pews. They have not awakened. They're in slumber, and they are not paying attention to what Democrats and Republicans are doing to protect that petrodollar bargain. And according to this fellow that you just heard, it can't be protected. Because our president has turned his back on that bargain. See, my personal belief is the little Dutch boy doesn't have enough fingers to put in the dike, and we're going to get flooded. I mean, the petrodollar bargain, we can't send enough military into these former dictator places to prop up the petrodollar. It's going to break. But our president, because he wants an alliance with Iran, who knows who Valerie Jarrett is? Valerie Jarrett, one of the president's top advisors, is an Iranian. She was born in Iran. And the thing that we're hearing, and I think it's true, is the Muslim Brotherhood is having a whole lot of sway with this president. And he is, because of Valerie Jarrett's advice to him, he is doing some things with Iran that we should never be doing. And why are the people who we got elected, folks, the Republicans, why are they going along with this? Is it that they know that petrodollar bargain is coming to an end and we've got a severe price to pay? Oh, unplug that. I friended a whole lot of people, and that's people accepting my friendship on Facebook. So you're getting the dings when they accept. And listen, I'm starting to do Facebook because whatever way I can get the message out, I'm going to get it out because I believe that we're at a precipice in this country. This country becomes something you never thought it would. This country becomes a place where Christians do not have sanctuary. Can you imagine it? When I plug that phone back in, you're going to see what has happened in a place in the world where Christians no longer had sanctuary. You know, Iraq was a place where, I forget the percentage, and let me think of the name of those Christians, but they lived in sanctuary. They lived under Saddam Hussein. They lived well. But when ISIS took over, the radical Islam, the Al-Qaeda of Al-Qaedas, when they joined together, Christianity in Syria and Iraq and Libya, they had no sanctuary. You've seen the videos of them getting their heads cut off because they wouldn't disavow their Christian faith. Is that coming to America someday? Well, you know what is coming to America right now? I'll get to you in just a minute, Bill. What is coming to America right now is under an asylum program, Islamic refugees. And the thing that General Valley is saying, and that the fellows that we had here last week, the thing that they're saying, Dick Manasari, I couldn't think of his name. The thing that they're saying is we're not allowing Christians who need sanctuary, who need asylum, we're not allowing them to come in from these lands. So you're going to see who is in a minute. You're going to see that Greece is allowing these Christians to come in. Switzerland is allowing Christians to come in. Let me think, I don't know the name of the country, but wouldn't allow Islam to send their people in. Because they said we don't have mosques, we're just accepting Christians. Well, countries over there are answering that call. At least the ones who do accept Muslims also don't say Christians can't come. Because right now, 95% of our refugee program here, which tax funded, is Islam, Muslims. And I want to say radical Islam because the thing is, you really can't check them at the gate. You can't check their qualifications. If they are not professed Christians, then you can't tell if they're a sleeper or not, folks. You just can't tell. If they are, what I'm saying is, I don't want to say that we don't give asylum to Muslims because the Shias and the Sunnis over there are killing each other. And if they want to come, I talked to a Muslim a few weeks back. He said, if I'm not here, I'm dead over there. Yeah, so asylum is good for Muslims here too, but we can't just allow them to come in simply because they want to come because they're not being vetted. We don't know who's coming. Ann Arbor's a city of sanctuary for Islamic refugees. Dearborn is. And we don't know who they are. We are not vetting them. And so this Christian sanctuary that I talk about Christians have lost their sanctuary in the Middle East because of radical Islam. And the thing that I've been trying to talk about so much in caucus here is why we are sleeping with this enemy. Why will Hillary and Jeb, either one, continue to prop up this notion that we have to defend the petrodollar? And we will do it with our military. We will do it with these fellows who we bring here and look at and feel so bad that they've had to be negatively affected by those chemical weapons that are over there. Why is it that both sides of that aisle will continue to go over there and fight to protect the petrodollar? This is why I believe, folks, that neither Bernie Sanders, the radical left, nor a Tea Party constitutional conservative, the radical right, they say, I don't think that's so radical, by the way, will be the choice of the nominees for the Republican Party nor the Democrat Party, because they will not continue with policy if they were to become president. They will not continue with policy to send military over to force people to use that U.S. dollar for the petrodollar for the sale of oil. See, that's why we have to be concerned, and I know folks disagree with this, we have to be concerned about who Donald Trump really is. We have to be concerned about what his mission really is. I don't trust what he says he is. I think, and you know, folks, I'm not going to belittle someone who disagrees with me, and I hope you don't belittle me for disagreeing with you if you are a Donald Trump fan. I think Donald Trump is a Pied Piper. I think he's going to lead the conservative movement right off of a cliff, and I think it's a third-party cliff. I think Donald Trump is going to end up going third party, and if he takes 10% of those conservatives who would have supported Ted Cruz, or I say would have supported Carly Fiorina, if he takes 10% of that conservative, constitutional conservative vote with him, he has marginalized this Tea Party constitutional movement. And quite frankly, folks, we've sort of done that to ourselves. And if we don't find an answer to this across this country, we are going to be so marginalized. Jeb Bush will come forward, and listen to this, and I'll get to this video in a minute. I just found out, some of you don't know, but I'm Bill Schuette, the Attorney General. I'm his campaign chair in Washington County. I have a very close working relationship with Bill Schuette. I just found out he had a chair call, and I reserved, said I was going to be there, hit the reserve button, RSVP, I was going to be there, and I found out something, and so I refused to be part of that call, and I'm going to resign as his chairman. I love Bill Schuette. I think Bill Schuette is a good man. I think he's going to be our next governor. But there's something I found out that I can't go along with, and that is that Bill has decided to be Jeb Bush's campaign manager in the state of Michigan. And this chair call was something that he was going to try to align all of his chairs to, or at least to inform them. And so I will issue my resignation in kind. It will not be disrespectful, but I respectfully disagree with having Jeb Bush as our Republican nominee, because I think we have a huge problem if we nominate somebody who's only going to continue with the same policies that we've had for the last 20 years, since Reagan. Since Reagan, we have done things that we shouldn't be doing. And that's going to continue. I think Ted Cruz was taken into a smoke-filled bathroom and told a few things. I'm disappointed with Ted because he fast-tracked the Constitution. I'm taking a lot of hits on that, a lot of fire. People don't like me saying that, but same as the Corker Amendment, both of those, the Pacific Trade Agreement and the Iran Agreement, both of those have turned the Constitution on its head. Because here's what happens. Because of the manipulation of the constitutional process of advice and consent, it now takes 2/3 majority to stop the president in this deal. In both of those cases, in the Pacific Trade Agreement and in the Iran Agreement. It should have only taken 1/3 to stop him, because according to the Constitution, advice and consent has to have supermajority on treaties. Well, just because the president wants to call it an agreement and not a treaty, doesn't mean the Senate Republicans that we got elected, folks, Mitch McConnell, Ted Cruz, Mike Lee. Now, Mike was against it. But we've had too many Republicans that were for fast-tracking this and turning it on its head, which now means that the president, even if they take this vote and vote against this by 51 votes, vote against the Iran treaty, now because of the Corker Amendment, the president can veto that. And now it takes in the House and in the Senate a supermajority, 2/3, to override the presidential veto before we can defeat that Iran agreement. And that is just not what the Founding Fathers set into the Constitution. It is not there. And this is why I am so frustrated with what we've worked for over the last 6 years. We've had good success. The energy of the Tea Party is wonderful. They're wonderful people, constitutional conservatives. I love them all. But we are marginalized right now, and we will not come together. Each one of us that are in our own little tent doing our own little things, and I'll be quite frankly honest with you, that's what we do here. We're local, but the message here is different than most Tea Parties. I am issues, folks. I am mostly petrodollar policies, and why we continue to support policies that both sides of the aisle, Democrat and Republicans, will do once they get elected. Once, like Obama said, they get beyond the election, he has more freedom to do with what he needs to do. Because right now, even with that agreement, the Corker Amendment and the Pacific Trade Agreement, we're fast-tracking them, that insulates Congress from the voting electorate. They don't have to feel the fire of our ire. I just came up with it. They don't have to feel the fire of our ire, because we can now say, I'm angry, I'm angry, I'm angry. But I voted against it. I voted against it, but it takes 2/3 majority not to override a veto of the president in order to get it defeated. It's just not right. It's just not right. So why do they vote like that? And I say because of the petrodollar bargain. Because the collapse of that petro bargain, they know, is going to be absolute chaos, financial chaos in this country. And Christians, the way that they're importing Islam, radical Islam, we're going to have need of sanctuary, because the sanctuary that we have here is going to be here as it is there now. It will be here as it is there now. And as I'm referring to that now, I'm going to show you what's going on over there. And then I'm going to also show you the video we showed last week where they're bringing radical Islam in. Bill, you had a question.
No, you would find the thing in the Chaldean?
Oh yeah, the Chaldean Christians. The Chaldeans were the original Aborigines of Iraq. The Chaldean Christians right now are the ones who are being beheaded, folks. We showed a video one time that showed it. Don't like to be so graphic. But does America need to be slapped a little bit to be woken up? You know, if you're in the back seat and there's a driver who is nodding off, wouldn't you reach up there and smack them? Yeah, I would. And that's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to slap America out of its slumber because we're heading toward a cliff. And God help our Tea Party compatriots. We need to get together beyond candidates. Get together on these issues. Okay, so now I'm going to show you this video